Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yvonne Mason and Mary Brotherton, and we are bringing you all things books and publishing today. It has been a week of releases and moving things out there for all of y'all. We are live on Off the Chain on Facebook. I know that many of you are on all of our pages, so if you have comments, go to the chat section, and Mary is watching them as she is talking with me. But this week has been so busy. We released all three of the children's books. Mary's Faith and Follies coming out very soon. Werewolves and Toxic Rain by Andrea Dean Van Scoik is out. Sherry Ann Richardson's new book, Under the Dragon's Eye, will be out on 9/1. It is available for pre-order now. What else, Mary?
Well, isn't Jason working on something?
He may be. He may be. He hasn't told me yet, but he very well could be. Also, Mary has a poll up on the Midnight Publishing Facebook page because we have a new imprint coming out for children's books, and we're asking our folks on Midnight Publishing to give us their input as to what they like the best. And so far, it's been doing very well, has it not?
Yeah, I think we probably have maybe do another week
Perfect.
before we have a clear winner, but we're getting there.
Things things are just going absolutely amazing. I am so proud of all the authors.
I It's hard to even put into words the momentum. Everybody is very supportive of each other, and we're bringing in new authors. The diversity is off the hook, and it's just so much. It's so much fun. It's a fun place to be.
I'm glad you said that because it is a fun place to be. Number one, we don't put pressure on the authors. What that is not in our wheelhouse. We put no pressure on our authors. Our authors get us the books when they get us the books. It's that simple. We just this is a place for authors to feel safe, I think is a good word. And for authors to be able to do their craft without fear of criticism, uh, ugliness, jealousy, whatever else is out there that humans do on a daily basis. So let's talk about something I put up this morning on the Midnight Publishing Facebook page. I know you probably saw it. The PSA about what I put up about indie authors and buying books versus sharing and the pirates that are out there. Ladies and gentlemen, there are book pirates out there. All of my books are out there in Pirateville. I know because I found them. There's a new app that if you go into a bookstore, a library, well, especially a bookstore, you go into a bookstore and you tap your phone on that book, it downloads it. So you get a free book. That author does not get paid for that book. There are pirates out there that are downloaded audibles. Found one of my books the other day. Now, all of my books are being downloaded by pirates. You buy a $2.99 subscription and you download all the books you want. Same thing with Kindle books. Download it, all the books you want. That is so wrong. So if you're guilty of that, I encourage you not to do it because writers work very hard at what they do. They are entitled, and yeah, I use that term, I don't use it often, but they are entitled to be paid for what they do. If you go to a job and you're supposed to get paid and your boss says, oh, we're going to work you today for nothing, I think you would be a little bit upset.
Yeah, you might not want to stay till closing time.
Exactly. You might walk in and walk out. Writing is a craft. Illustrating is a craft. Painting is a craft. Music is a craft. It is what we do because we love it. It's not a hobby. Because,
No,
honey,
it's not a hobby. And the thing about anything in the creative world, I mean, people who work on computer software, which is what gives us Facebook and TikTok and the way our telephones, our cell phones work, those people have a passion to create code. It's another kind of creation. You wouldn't think twice about paying somebody for their skill at fixing a computer or helping you get on or off Facebook easily. Why do you think it's okay to not pay artists for their work? And when I say artists, I mean everybody: musicians, dancers, singers, songwriters, guitarists, bands, writers, people who paint with a paintbrush.
a
There's so
craftsman
many
that
kinds of art.
craftsman that creates something from sculpting clay or ceramics or create clothing.
Oh yes,
It, you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, if it were easy, everybody would do it.
and if it paid a lot of money, everybody would do
Yeah.
it.
Let's think about it in a different light. You have a leak under the sink in your house. Are you going to call the plumber and expect him to come fix that leak for nothing? I would say no.
No.
Living in Florida, when our air conditioners go out, do you expect the air conditioning man to come fix your air conditioner for nothing? When your car needs to be repaired, do you take it to the mechanic and expect him to do it for nothing? Those are craft jobs, just like what we do. We deserve to get paid for our craft. And when, let's say you buy one of our books and Joe Blow down the street says, "Oh, let me read it when you're finished." Give them the link to go buy the book, because every time that book is passed around, our authors lose money. Now, do they get paid lots and lots of money? No, they do not. Because by the time that we take out for, Amazon takes out their cut for the printing and the publishing and the man hours for that book, it's pennies on the dollar. It's
And I'll
still,
tell you who's the worst: family members.
yes, they are. They
I,
can't.
I have a couple of nieces who sign up. They're usually first, second, or third to buy anything that I do. But then I have siblings. They wait till somebody finishes a book and they want to borrow it.
And if you want to give a book away as a gift, that's something different because someone has purchased that book to give away.
Yeah.
If the
And they're
author,
not that expensive.
no, we are really reasonable.
They cost less than a cup of coffee at
When-
Starbucks or Dunkin'.
Our hardbacks are less than the hardbacks from traditional authors. Not the only hardback that we have that is over $30 is Sherry's cookbook, and that's because that hardback is over 200 pages with color photos.
Yeah.
It's $50, and it's on an 8.5 by 11. But that's
It's
because
basically a coffee table book.
correct, and that's what she wanted. So that's what we did. But you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we do. I don't charge our authors. to do their books. They get paid royalties when the royalties start coming in. They get paid. And they get paid every 3 months because it builds up. I'm not going to send them a PayPal amount of $1.25. That, no, I'm not doing it because PayPal is going to take their chunk out of it, and then they're not going to have anything.
Yeah.
So that being said, please, when somebody says, "Oh, I want to read that," when you're done, say, "Here's the link. Please go purchase it." It's very reasonable. We have it in Audible. We have it in paperback, hardback, Kindle. So there's no. If somebody says, "Well, I can't see the print." Okay, download the Audible. What's the Audible? I think $4.99 maybe.
Or download the ebook, and you can make the print as big as you want.
Exactly. So I can't read the fine print. No, that dog don't hunt with me. Also, if you tell an author, "I've read your book, I love it," post a review
Oh
on
gosh,
Amazon.
nobody realizes how
Please.
important those reviews are. That's one of the ways that not only Amazon, but other outlets go back and they see, oh, this person's got 100 reviews, or this person's only got 5 reviews. I mean, I know that all of my books have sold hundreds of copies, but do I have 100 reviews on there? No, I don't. And I don't understand why.
Because
And
people don't think about it.
I can take, when somebody says, "Oh, Mary, I loved your book." I mean, I ran into a woman probably a week after the book, my first Steep Steps came out last year. And she said, "I read your book. I think it's great. I think it should be required reading on every college campus." And I said, "Would you please put that in a review?" She said, "I don't know how." So I've got her review, what she said, and in fact I've been writing a lot of posts about that recently, and scheduling them to come out in the upcoming days because I want people to understand it's not hard to write a review. There's basically, I think, 4 things you need. You need the name of the book. You should have the author of the book, and if there's an illustrator, it would be nice to include their name. You need your name, of course. And then you need to know, what did you like about the book? Was it too short? Did I have to turn the pages? Was I able to put it down? Did I learn something? You just answer a couple of questions. And I think on Amazon you have to have 50 words for the review
Not
to
even 50
qualify.
anymore because some of the reviews on Murder in the Village are one line.
Wow. But whatever it is, I mean, Facebook, Amazon will tell you if you haven't written enough. And if you haven't written enough on a review, you can fill that space up with practically anything.
Yep.
Open the book up, find the first name of the character that's in there, and go, "I loved or hated such and such a person in here." Or, I mean, it's not even hard to write long reviews about children's books. They don't have to be long. They just have to be written. And once you write them, you're done. And you can do this for every single person's book you've read.
And
And
the
it
thing
helps
is,
so many people.
with the star thing, all you have to do is just click, because the star is already up there. You just have to click on the number of stars you want to give it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If there's 5 stars, just hit that 5th star and they all light up. It's not that difficult, and it is so important for our authors. So important. Every day I see somebody else's book. "Oh, I loved your book," and not just mine, but my other authors. I say, "Oh, I loved your book." Okay, please, if you bought it from Amazon, go on Amazon and leave a review, please, because it helps our authors in so many ways. It
And I know
encourages them.
sometimes it's difficult to remember. When you're thinking, "Oh, I love the book." Okay, so you don't need to write the review the instant you finish it. You don't need to write the review the moment you think about it. But write yourself a little sticky note. Leave a review for Yvonne. Leave a review for, if you can't think of Sherry's name, leave a review for the chocolate cookbook. Put a sticky on your computer or your phone. And the next time you're on Amazon, say you don't know how, go to your purchases. Click purchases, and as soon as the purchases come up, you'll see everything you've ordered. And when you see the book you want to leave a review for, click that book, and it will take you to the review section. You can buy the book again if you want to, and then give it to someone for some reason. But once you click that purchase, it'll say, would you like to leave a review?
Also, when you have a Kindle, at the end of that book on your Kindle, it says, would you like to leave a review? And when you hit yes, it takes you right to the review page. It's not that hard. And I'm sure with Audible it does the same thing.
Probably.
So please leave reviews. And we understand not every one of our books is for everybody. We're okay with that. That's why we here at Midnight Publishing have such a diverse group of authors, because we know that not every book is for everybody. We also know that sometimes a person will buy a book thinking, oh, I'm going to enjoy that book, but when they get into it, either they don't get it, and that's okay, or it's just not their cup of tea. That's okay, but I'm begging you, please don't personally bash my authors, because I will call you out. I will call you out every time. I have been personally bashed about my books, and no, if you don't care for
There's
the
no
book,
reason to bash somebody. I mean, I grew up with the expression, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Now, if there's something intrinsically wrong, you can still leave a review for somebody that's not going to be hateful or hurtful.
and reviews are just that. You don't have to give a 12-page dissertation about the context of the book.
No, it's
People
not a
don't
book
want-
report.
they don't want to know the story. They want how you felt about reading the book. There have been case in point, when I was in college in 2006 with my criminal justice degree, I had to take a literature class. Why, I have no idea, but I'm glad I did, because I had to read a book that was written in 1929. And I called my mother and I said, I hate this book. I cannot for the life of me get through this book. How am I going to write this book report? And she said, wise woman that my mother was, said, Yvonne, read every book with an open mind. Read this book with an open mind. I went, Mother, I can't. The writing is horrific. It's a disastrous love story. She said, read the book with an open mind. So I went back, started over, took myself out of the picture personally, and read the book with an open mind. I got an A on that book report because the book was about a woman during this time period of 1929, where moral values were extremely strict. Men could have affairs all day long and twice on Sunday, but women were not allowed. They were expected to stay at home, raise the children, have as many babies as possible, and be demure, to be quiet, and to basically just do what they were told. The woman in this book had an affair, and she really loved the man she was having an affair with, but she could not live with the guilt. In the end, she committed suicide. The husband went on doing his thing, but she committed suicide by walking out into the ocean. My take on that book was, You can't have double standards. And that's how I wrote my book report. So, no matter what you're reading, no matter how much you think you hate it, there's always something you can learn from it. Always. And that's what we ask our readers to post. What did you learn from the book? Okay, it's a true crime. You don't like the way it's written because it's written from a law enforcement's point of view. But what did you learn? Did you learn how the victims might have felt? Did you learn how their families might have felt? Did you learn the evil of the perpetrator? Did you learn you didn't want you to be in that position or any of your family members to be in that position and how hard it is to find those perpetrators? That's what you write about. If you personally don't like it, I don't care because it's not for everybody. Mary doesn't care. It's not for everybody. But those that it's for are those that will appreciate the content of the book. But every book you read, read with an open mind. Am I right, Mary?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're a book lover, you probably already know this, but it bears repeating. Some books are going to trigger some readers, and some books are just going to be entertainment. Other books, everybody's book is, like she says, is different. We have books that educate, books that inspire, books that teach you how to do things, or and all that. It's not teaching like a textbook. It's I'm just so impressed with the way some of our writers present their information.
Yeah.
And,
Because we
and you
allow
can
them.
learn from fiction too.
You can. We and allow is not really the right word. We encourage our authors to go beyond the comfort zone, to step out of the cliche box that most publishing houses put their authors in. We want them to go beyond the norm, to go where no man has gone before. We encourage that. Sherry Ann's book, A Chocolate Lover's Garden, is not just a cookbook. It is a history book. It is a gardening book. It is a baker's book. It is a chef's book. It is a picture book. It is a history book, all rolled into one book. Sally's Heart is not just a story about somebody's heart. It is a teaching book to teach children on their level what happens when somebody gives the gift of life. Her my angel book is about how angels are out there and we don't even recognize them. And everyday things, pets and family and the nature and the little voice inside your head that says, you want to step back from that curb?
Or the little voice in your head that says, why don't you text your estranged family member?
Right.
Why don't you text this random stranger, basically? You know, somebody you know from church or some club you belong to, or even at work. You know, I think I should reach out to this person. But you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do. Sometimes the hardest thing is just saying hello.
And then the rest comes.
And the rest falls into place. And a lot of times we're faced with decisions and choices that on the surface seem black and white. They seem like they're cut and dry, black and white. This is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. But when we listen to those little inner voices, we learn that maybe gray's not such a bad color either.
Exactly.
And somewhere in between the black and the white, we can see other colors. But we have to listen. And we don't listen with our ears. Well, some of us do. I was talking to my husband this past weekend about my intuition. It's been spot on. And he was really amazed at some of the things that I told him about himself that he didn't know I knew, that I'd picked up on little clues, little things. And he said, your intuition is really strong. And you can build your intuition, but don't try if you're not inclined to. But if you hear that little voice that says, call Uncle Bob,
Call Uncle. Then you call Uncle Bob.
go ahead and call him, because it might be your last opportunity for forgiveness or closure or whatever it is that you might think you need. If your son or your daughter is not, maybe I don't want to say not doing the right thing, but not doing the things you want them to do or think they should do, don't just write them off. Stay in touch.
Because you never know.
And whenever that voice says, call Junior, call Sissy, do it.
And that brings us back to our books. I would venture to say that of all the authors we have, many of our books carry that theme. All of our books, whether fact, fiction, or anywhere in between, they all have a life lesson, without a doubt. Even Andrea Dean Van Scoyo's Gothic books have life's lessons. And when you can read with an open mind and be intuitive, like Mary said, you can learn so much. And that is what we want to get over today, is be ready and willing to learn with an open mind. Yeah, we read for enjoyment, but I also read to learn. I know Mary reads.
My son and I were talking about a week ago about his writing, and I think I may have mentioned this. One of his friends has read a chapter or two, and she told him, "You use $5 words when a 50-cent word would do." And he said, "I guess I should probably rewrite it now, huh, Mom?"
No.
Like, no. Leave those big words. If you've got a $10 word, put it in there, because I'm crossing stories, but I remember one time I had a co-editor at a newspaper. She said, well, I heard that the Florida Today writes on a fifth grade level, so I think we should dumb down our writers.
No.
I said, no. I think our readers need to come up to our level.
And I agree.
And they did. They did. If we continually take that as a criticism, oh, you've got fancy words, you've got a big vocabulary, nobody will understand you. But if you're a good writer, a skilled writer, knows how to weave their words in a way so that the context carries the definition, but also so that your readers are challenged to go look up that word.
Mm-hmm.
I've started making bookmarks and deliberately leave the back of the bookmark clear with room to write. No, I might put lines on them, I might not. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But I want them to feel like they can just go right on the back of their bookmark and then go find a library or, a dictionary is what I was trying to say.
Or
and look up the words. I don't need, there better be a dictionary in the library.
But this is what
it's just one of those things that don't ever change how you write because somebody else doesn't get you.
And this is what I have refused to do in the 20 years of my writing. I will not change the way I write, because I don't change the way I read. I read things that are way up here, and there's a reason for that, because I want to learn. And I write the way that I read, and that is way up
It
here.
helps challenge your mind.
It does.
And anybody who's been around for probably the last 40 years has probably heard that there are certain activities you can do to delay the onset of dementia or Alzheimer's, things you can do to minimize forgetfulness as we get older. And usually they say things like the Sudoku puzzles or word find puzzles or crossword puzzles. But all of these studies have shown that someone who is well read doesn't need to even worry about that.
because they just keep reading.
You
And,
keep
and
reading, you keep challenging your brain, you keep feeding it, you keep giving it nutrition.
I'm gonna switch gears because it plays into what we're talking about. And yeah, we're gonna get to formatting books, so y'all just chill out. The writers in Hollywood have dumbed down their dialogue and their scripts so bad that I can't even watch TV anymore because I'm sitting here going, "What are you doing?" It's not 3-year-old people that watch these shows. Yeah, it's might be the younger generation, but they need to be up here too. They don't need to be down here in the run Sally run see Dick and Jane. They bypass that way back.
No,
So part of the dumbing down I blame on Hollywood with their movie scripts and their TV shows
oh,
and their movie
yes.
shows because they dumb down everything because they have no imagination. People, read for the love of it, read to learn lessons, and
In the
read with an open heart.
early 1990s, yeah,
Early, yeah,
in the early 1990s, there was a show called Babylon 5,
yes,
and I watched it back then, but Curtis and I are watching it again now, and we're doing it in a different way because I'm paying really close attention to the dialogue. I don't really care so much about the stuff in the background, but I'm really all about the dialogue. And so last night was a really good show, the one that we happened to watch. But I would just nudge Curtis and say, that's good dialogue. Or, oh, that would be something that you should tell your mom next time you see her. Or, your wife would like to hear you say things like that more often.
say
But
it,
but that was good writing.
and
They stopped writing like that.
they did, and they stopped threading together character growth in series.
Yes.
Boom, it's in your face. Well, how did we get from point A to point B? In order to keep your audience engaged and in writing too, you have to grow your characters from one book to another. This is something that best-selling authors don't do anymore. Their characters don't grow, they don't evolve, they stay stuck because that's what the publishers want. Your characters have to grow in order to keep the reader engaged, and in some instances your main character is going to die off and other characters are going to take its place because that's the cycle of life.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. They're not going to stay 20 forever and a day. Amen. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about formatting books again. When
It bears repeating.
it bears repeating over and over and over again. When I ask authors to send me a completed manuscript, I am asking them to send me full chapters, but I need those chapters to begin on a separate page. In other words, if you are writing a chapter and you finish that chapter, don't start the next chapter under the last line of the last chapter. It is way too hard to format. Start a new page for the next chapter. And the reason for that is because when I have to go and do my thing and upload it to Amazon as a manuscript, I have to go back even though I have reformatted it, I have to go back 6 and 7 times and try to fix it. And if I can't fix it, then I have to do copy and paste and put it on an entire new sheet, new Microsoft Word
Document.
document. That takes time. I will do it. I have done it, but it would be so much easier when you finish it, and indent your chapters, please. Don't. It's everything is not in a straight line. If you start a new paragraph, indent your paragraph, 2 spaces. That's all.
And you can do this so easily with the margins. Don't just click space space, because what happens when you do that, you might be working on an older version, and then Yvonne's got the newest version, and when she gets it, it's not gonna go indent paragraph, indent paragraph, indent paragraph. It's gonna be like wavy. It could be, if you hit the space bar, you might hit it 3 times. You might hit it 4 times. You might hit it once. So if you set your margins up in the top, you can either slide the little margin line over, or you can set that in the setup.
And all of this is fixable. I
Yeah.
can fix all, and I do, and I do it graciously. We just want our authors to learn as they go, because there might be a day when Mary and I aren't here, and you will have to go to another publisher. And I can honestly tell you, we are, back to your word, we are unique in the fact that we do things no other publisher does.
Yeah.
We,
But I will tell you, this, when Yvonne says, I want you to format your manuscript, send it to me all in one file. There's a reason, and she is not the only publisher doing this. Every publisher that you work with has their requirements. And they may not all be the same as Yvonne's, but they're going to be there. I wanted to mention something about the page, starting each chapter on a new page. It's best not to just hit the return key until you get to the new page. It's best if you can insert a blank page. And that's so easy. If you go to the top of your document, it'll say insert. And most people automatically think insert a picture, or insert a table, or insert a diagram. It's just as simple, because there's another little icon there that says insert a blank page. And it takes you from the bottom of your even if say you're on chapter 1, and you go down 4 pages. Well, the 4th page might only be 4 lines. Well, you don't want to hit the enter until you get to the new page. Hit that insert, blank page, and booyah, you're already on the next page.
with no issues.
No issues. And in this way, when you do this for every chapter, Yvonne's got a clean working document
And
that she can work from.
it's so much easier to edit, because I don't have to go back and reset the book up and then go back and edit the book. I can just edit the book, look for minor boo-boos. And I'm going to tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this is for my authors and readers alike. So bear this in mind and take it for what it is worth. We are human. We are not robots.
Speak for yourself, human.
Even Random House, even all those other big publishing houses miss things.
Oh, yes.
If there is a spelling error in the book you're reading, and you're so busy worrying about the spelling error that you miss the voice of the book, shame on you. Move on from it and read the book. Because
Errors are natural. And I think I did this last week. I showed everybody what I do with books. I take a photograph of a book with a mistake. You see down here, I said, comma, as handed him. They left out the word I. It's not a deal breaker. You can still read the book. You can still enjoy it.
And understand what the writer was saying.
Right. But that's just my little quirk, my little idiosyncrasy in my brain. I like to find mistakes and point them out. And then I take a photo of it and I print it out, and I've got a wall with images of some best-selling books that have mistakes in them.
And it happens.
Yeah.
And
That's also a reminder to me that perfection is a goal, not a requirement.
or as a very famous painter used to say, a happy accident.
Yes.
It's a happy accident.
Yes.
It does not change the tone of the book. I can't tell you the books that I have read from best-selling authors, and I went, oh, a boo-boo, or oh, I could have said that, but that didn't change the tone of the book. I just went on and enjoyed the book.
I don't love. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with writers who have told me over the years, I read so many books that were so badly written, I decided to write one myself. Here, read this. Tell me what you think. Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh,
Because
yes.
these people are so filled with their ego
Yep.
that they don't realize they're no better than the last guy.
And they make mistakes.
And folks, let me tell you something about best-selling books. Now, Yvonne's book, Murder in the Village, is really close to being number one.
Very close.
I would strongly encourage anybody who has not bought a copy to go buy one. I would encourage anybody who has bought one to go buy another one and give it as a gift to someone. You might want to give it as a gift in December. And that brings us back to the reviews. You can always leave a review that says, I haven't finished the book yet, but I'm so excited. Or I'm going to continue reading it. It's already caught my attention. And then you come back and write a full review later. Those reviews help us get the attention we need from Amazon and other places. But it also encourages writers to keep doing it.
Yes, it does. Because there's so much negativity out there with indie authors. Still, after 20 years, there is still a lot of negativity out there where it comes to indie authors that many of them have stopped.
Yeah.
And
But
that's a
the
shame.
the book rating process is akin to winning an Oscar in Hollywood. It's a political game.
It is.
It's a numbers game, but it is really and truly more of a...
It's a marketing tool.
It's a marketing tool. It's a popularity contest.
Mm-hmm.
If I have always wanted to be a best-selling author, what author doesn't? There are some people who just say, I just want to get my story out, and I don't care if it sells a lot of books or not. I have to get it out. I still do believe that there is at least one bestseller in my life. Not sure which one it is, but when it comes, it comes.
I was out doing street lights last night with my friend. We do street lights once a month.
Okay,
And-
you got to explain to me what doing a street light is.
Okay. In our village, we have street lights on the property that belong to the company, and it's their responsibility to keep the street lights working, or else we'll be in a total blackout and kill each other because we've got people that don't know how to drive and they will run over each other. You got people that walk after dark with no flashlight and wear dark
Wearing
clothing.
black clothing.
Oh, God love them. Anyway, so
And a
Louise-
dog on a 30-foot leash.
Yes, which is illegal. So once a month, Louise and I go out and we check the street lights, and the ones that are not working, we write them down and take them to the office. So we were out doing streetlights last night and ran into two people who wanted to know about Murder in the Village.
Nice.
So we told them. One of the people that read the book that lives here in our little community was late for work because she couldn't put the book down.
Double nice.
The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, when I wrote that book, I did not expect the results that has come from that book. Everybody's screaming, "Where's the second one? When is it coming out?" I just started it. Okay, that brings us back to books again. Books are not written overnight. The concept's there,
Yeah.
but the book itself is not written overnight. I told them it's in the process. Well, when is it going to be out? It will be out when it gets out.
And some books write themselves quickly.
Yes.
Other books annoy the daylights out of the authors because they make you wait. Back to my son. He wrote a book 15 years ago. Really great book. It's a dystopian fantasy. I loved it. Everybody in the critique group loved it. They complimented him completely. He sent it off to a publisher who just resoundingly rejected him, and he felt rejected because he's one of those very sensitive people that takes things to heart. He doesn't realize it's a business and nothing personal, but it feels like a rejection of the soul.
Yep.
So he stopped writing for more than 10 years. And now he's back at it again, and he's doing so much better. And I told him, I said, you maybe needed to wait because you probably weren't ready for the fame that's probably going to come with this book. That might be my only connection to a bestseller, that and Murder in the Village. But those books are, some of them come so easily, and others don't. And he could not find an ending for his first book. And now that he's revising it and rewriting it, everything's falling into place for him.
That's because he's older.
Yep.
He already has a relationship with the characters. He already has a relationship with the storyline. And he's had 10 years to get all of the preconceived notions and ideas out of his head and just let the story take on its own life form. And that's what happens when we stop fretting over writing the book. If we stop and listen to the characters, they're going to write the book, because if we don't let them speak, we're not going to be able to write, because they're in our head going, type this, and our fingers can't help it. And if we try to type something else, I know in my case, if I try to do it in one way, it becomes jumbled. I'm going, what the hell is this? No, it has nothing to do with anything. And the character's going, we told you. We told you. We are here to play and to slay. And if you don't do what we want you to do, you don't get to do anything.
Oh, that is so true.
So,
My personal writing of new material is on hold because I've got so many books already written.
mhm.
Faith and Folly. I'm in the process right now of recording the audio for that. I've got 9 chapters to go. I should be able to get it to you by today, barring any unforeseen craziness. And once I get the audio to her, then I'll also send her a revised or edited version of the actual book so she can update it, because I am finding mistakes. And sometimes the writer brain needs to focus on what I call writer admin. This is writer admin. It's part of getting the book done. There's marketing, there's selling, there's promotion. There's a lot of things that writers need to do in addition to just physically writing the book. I'll never forget. I wrote Steep Steps. I started it and finished it quickly. It was one of those books that just, I woke up one day and I felt like there was a teleprompter right here with the words coming down. I saw the layout of everything in the book. I knew what I had to do. I wrote the book and I sent it out for readers to give me their opinion, and they sent their opinions back, and I took their advice and decided what to keep, what to lose, and sent it out again, did it all over again, and then somebody made a comment about this should be a television series. So I started writing the script. Next thing I know, I created, I co-founded Be Unique, a charity that I have since retired from. But when I was ready to pick up Steep Steps again, I looked at it and I started reading it. Now, bear in mind, this was like the third iteration of this book. It had been thoroughly through the gamut. And there was one point that I'm reading this book and I'm like, who wrote this? This is good. And it's fun to go back and amaze yourself at what a good writer you are. Reading it again for the first time in 8 years, I laughed out loud, I cried, I got angry. I had all the emotions because it was like new material, even though it came from up here.
But as we're writing, we don't absorb
No,
what we're writing because it's not our voice that's doing the writing, it's the characters that are coming out to play. And only other writers understand that. Readers, there's an old adage that when you're reading your book, if you can put yourself in the book, and when you're finished and you have to close the book, you feel like you've lost a best friend.
yeah.
That means that you really put yourself out there for the book. Case in point, I read The Exorcist way back in the day. Got so engrossed in it that when I finally finished the last word, I went, what the hell? Evil won. No. Because I'm not even Catholic, but I was rooting for the priest.
Yeah.
But evil won. And I'm going, that's not the way that book should have ended, because evil never wins in the end. I was in that book. I wanted to kill the demon myself. But when you can put yourself in a book and become part of that, like the girl that said she was late for work. And, oh, the best one, Mary, the best one. I get this question. Now, we know that art imitates life,
Yes.
especially in the village. People are, when they read the book, they try to figure out who's who in reality in the book. But then the next question they ask is, do we really have a swingers club here?
What have I been missing out on?
My response is, I don't know. It just fit.
I just made it up. There might be one.
But
Go knock on some doors and look for loofahs.
because art imitates life, they thought they were missing out on something because there are some real life episodes in the book that happened. So when people get that involved in a book, that tells me A, they're reading it with an open mind, and B, they are excited to be reading it.
Yes.
And I have one reader that's reading it for the second time.
Oh, wow.
So, ladies and gentlemen, when you're reading, enjoy it. And authors, when you're writing, get in the book with your characters. Because believe me, there's nothing more fun than having a day-to-day argument with one of your characters that wants a bigger part in the book and you're not ready to give it to them.
Exactly. I had two situations when my husband first read Steep Steps. He said, you have to change this character's name. It doesn't fit. What? Really? I changed his name, and it was like he said, thank God. You know,
I don't like that name.
yeah, he was saddled with a name. The character was saddled with a name he didn't like, and I didn't know this, but my husband said this isn't a good name for him. It just doesn't fit. So I revised it, changed his name, and then he took on a bigger life in the story. And then another time, my sister texted me. She said, "I read your book. Do you have to cuss so much? You really used a lot of F-bombs, and your character is disrespectful to God and man and everything. And you didn't have to cuss so much." I said, "I didn't cuss.
It was a character.
It was Jim. He's a potty mouth." Everybody else in the book, and there were a couple of other people that might have thrown out an occasional slur or whatever, but Jim was the only one doing it. And it wouldn't have worked if I cleaned up his language.
Because that was the personality that the character was.
Mm-hmm.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is another thing you have to understand. There is a time and place for foul language, but not with every character in every book.
No.
Mary's one character was that type of insecure, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-control character, that every other word was a cuss word, probably because in real life he would have had a very limited vocabulary and didn't know how to express himself except with those words.
He didn't know how to express himself except through his own hedonistic desires.
And that's part of it.
He was an addict, and he acted every bit like an addict.
Including the language.
Exactly.
Because our language becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Garbage in, garbage out. And along with a hedonistic personality comes a hedonistic language, because that is all wrapped into one nice, neat package and tied with a bow. Now, let's flip back over to Hollywood. It has gotten to the point that they use bad language in every movie that I've seen since the early 1990s. Every other word out of their mouth is foul language, and it doesn't have to be. Every character in the movie uses foul language. Why? Yep, Richard Pryor used it as his stand-up, but that was Richard Pryor, and he had half a brain because the other half had been eat up with drugs.
Yeah.
And his foul language went along again with his addictive personality.
Yep.
Red Skelton was one of the funniest comedians alive and never used foul language. Tim Conway and Harvey Korman on the Carol Burnett Show ran some of the funniest scripts out there, and Tim Conway's was mostly ad-libbed. He never used foul language, but it was fall down on the floor funny. I mean, you just wrote the dentist. The dentist episode is one of my favorites, and it's all done using body language. And the rest is left to your imagination. So what we're saying is, your books don't have to be sexually explicit. You don't have to use foul language with every character. If the one character's personality demands that dialogue, there's a reason for it. It's not just to fill a page.
Oh, speaking of filling pages, I'll tell you, because we were talking about Hollywood, one of my pet peeves, and Curtis, my husband, can attest to this because I cringe every time I see it. There are two things that I think have absolutely no place in a movie or television show. I don't need to watch a character brushing their teeth. And I certainly don't need to see them on the potty.
No, and I don't need a full sex
If you
scene.
want to show a character who's doing a pregnancy pee test, you can show her walking into the bathroom with the stick in her hand and coming out with the results. Cut I don't need to see her sitting on the toilet holding the little thing with her best friend doing the timer. I don't need that. It to me that is poor and lazy writing. And
And
why
full
people
sex scenes don't need that either.
I have seen them do a toothbrush scene from where they walk into the bathroom, wet the brush, put the toothpaste on, brush it, for 2 full minutes, and they're talking the whole time. And then they finish, they rinse, they walk out, and then they go on with the movie. They've used it probably 5 minutes or more to show them brushing their teeth for 2 full minutes. It is one of the. It doesn't disgust me, but from a writer's perspective, it's just so lazy, and it adds absolutely nothing to the show.
And that's what they have, that is what Hollywood has come to, is laziness on the part of the writers and the directors. Think about it. All of the classics were done with body language and facial expressions because 99% of the actors in the old classics were theater actors.
Yeah,
And they had to use exaggerated expressions and exaggerated body language for the back row.
yeah.
We Hollywood has gotten so lazy, not only do they regurgitate old film, but there's no acting. No real performance.
Sometimes they're just reciting lines.
Yeah. And you can see it in the finished product. One of the best actors, and I adore him, except some of the movies he was in I was not fond of. But when Johnny Depp played Pirates of the Caribbean, he was Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh yes.
His whole persona was Captain Jack.
So much so that he's a method actor. He
Right.
gets into his characters, and it was so much a part of his personality until he finished filming the movie, that his own children were a little bit afraid of him.
As it should be.
And there are very few great actors still out there. Tom Hanks is another one. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what you've seen him in, he's that guy. Splash, when he was with Daryl Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
Big, oh my God, I loved his character in Big.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. He was Forrest
Forrest
Gump. He
Gump.
was, he did that Philadelphia, whatever it was.
The
I forget what it was.
Philadelphia Story.
Yeah. Any of, what was the movie when he was the captain of the ship that was taken over by Ugandan pirates?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we have that lifeboat in the Navy SEAL Museum down here in Fort Pierce.
I've been to that Navy SEAL museum once. I won't go back.
You should.
But
They've enlarged it.
the Nazi room is hard on me.
You need
There's
to
a
go in
lot of negativity in that room.
because it was negative,
Yeah.
very much so. But if you go, but you should go back and look at that lifeboat because there's one bullet hole.
Oof.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Navy SEALs that took those Somali pirates out were in high seas, rough water. They lay on the deck of the aircraft carrier, and with one bullet hole and 2 bullets, they killed the pirates. That's how good Navy SEALs are.
Oh, yes.
And I would not have believed it had I not seen that lifeboat myself. The bullet hole's about that big.
Yep. 50 cal.
So, but
And
again,
that can take out a few pirates right there.
a little bit.
Oh, another one. Sully.
Yes.
He was so good in Sully, which was another captain, but this time of an airplane. These are a lot of Tom Hanks movies are based on true characters.
and he becomes that character. And
Captain
you
Phillips.
Apollo 13.
Yes.
So what we're saying is movie and books run parallel lines, and that when you see a movie or you watch a series, they have to be believable. To me, they do. And the dialogue has to at least be halfway intelligent. Same thing in books. Your characters have to be believable. That's why Mary and I don't rush our books, because anybody can put down words. Anybody can write a book full of words. But when you fall in love or love to hate the characters in the book, then that is a book that is worthy of passing on, worthy of talking about.
Yeah.
The Pink Canaries now got a resurgence because people have fallen in love with the drag queens in Murder in the Village. They want to know more about them. Well, if you want to know more about them, go back and introduce yourself to them in the Pink Canary, because that's where they come to life. Bless them. And then they've been a bane of my existence ever since. But I love my drag queens. In fact, talking about reviews, there was a review on the Pink Canary by someone in the LGBT community, and this person said, I have just started reading this, and I have to say that Yvonne Mason has nailed my culture.
Nice.
That to me was the biggest compliment, because that's not my culture. I had to go learn about it. Again, we're back to formatting your book. If you don't know what you're writing about, take the
Go
time to
learn.
learn it. Ask people that know it. Ask Vicky Lane is my friend for life because she was the only drag queen that responded to my query about, I need your help. I want to make this believable. I want the LGBT community to read something written by a straight person. I want drag queens to be able to relate to my drag queens. God love them. And Vicky helped, and Vicky has been in the books since day one. That is my thanks to her, because she didn't have to do it, but she
No.
did it. So, and Mary, when she wrote Sally's Heart and when she wrote Steep Steps, she went to people who knew things. She just didn't arbitrarily throw words out in a book and say, believe me because I wrote it. No, that's not the way it works.
No.
So if you don't know your subject matter, research it. Please research it and research it again. And keep your research, because you may reference it again. Am I right?
Yeah.
You may write
And you
another.
want to be able to, if somebody contacts you and says, I don't believe this happened this way, or I don't believe you've got your facts straight, you pull up your research and you say, oh, well, according to so and such, this is what happened, or this is what takes place. You know, I don't know the first thing about string theory, and I guarantee you the people who wrote the Big Bang Theory didn't either. Now, I do actually know somebody who was a science consultant on the reimagined Battlestar Galactica that came out in the 21st century rather than in the 1980s. And he said that the writers would contact him. They would just send him an email. Hey, Kevin, if we do this in space, what can we expect to have happen? And so he would, give them the science behind it. Because science fiction is fiction,
Right.
but it's also one of the hardest creative endeavors to get right. Because we don't know what happens
we
out there.
And we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
And
Now, I want to say one thing, because I think I'm going to be doing this. I don't know why. Somebody just told me you got to work on this, and I do know that I need to write a science fiction book because I had an idea about one. But also, for years and years and years beyond that, I used to dream about a space battle right above Earth's atmosphere. I'd wake up in a cold sweat. But that's what creates great literature. You have an idea, you have a dream, you have a thought, and then you research it and you think about it and you talk to people who know and you create your story.
And you go back and read War of the Worlds.
Yes.
That's another classic. That book almost caused a worldwide war and panic in the 1930s.
39, I think it was. I'll look
It's
it
War
up
of
to
the
make sure.
Worlds. It's War of the Worlds, and somebody got the bright idea to read the book on radio, because you didn't have television then, to read the book on radio as if it were happening. There was panic in the
Yes.
streets.
Talk about a marketing ploy.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Even older than that. H.G. Wells wrote The War of the Worlds in 1898.
And it was read on radio in 1930ish, 39, as a gimmick. It was a gimmick. And people really believed it was happening.
Let's see.
Because you can fool all of the people some of the time. Most
1938.
most of the people most of the time. And some people you can't fool at all. I'm one of those people. But when people in 1938, it was between the wars, and it was a time in history when people were
Well, they didn't have televisions.
no, they just had radios. If they had radios, if they were rich enough to have a radio, and they would gather around.
The way this guy did his radio show, he started out by, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Right.
And then they went off into this dynamics, and you thought that you were on a battleground.
Complete with sound effects.
This is something that Curtis and I want to do with Steep Steps Audible. We don't want to just read the book. We want to read it like a performance.
That will be interesting to see if we can get it up on Audible that way with all of the restrictions that Amazon gives us.
We'll find out.
We will find out, because
And if we can't do it on Amazon, we can release it on YouTube.
yeah, but then people won't be buying it
That's true.
unless we do a paid subscribed venue just for that book.
Yeah, you can do that. You can make it subscriber only.
And that
Here's
way,
the link. You
yeah.
pay for it. Here's the link.
So
We'll figure it out.
we figure out everything.
Yes.
But back to, and see, all of this basically falls under formatting your book. You have an idea, and you take that idea and you put that idea into motion. You build a roadmap. It took, when I first set out to write Murder in the Village, I didn't write Murder in the Village right then. I took notes. I observed. I kept evidence. I watched people. I listened to what they said and how they behaved. And then when the time was right, the story started taking place. With the second book, Duct Tape, Tarp, and a Shovel, I was at the hall at Woodland for whatever reason, and this voice said, it all started in the middle aisle of the hardware store. That's the very first line in the book.
That's a good first line.
And I'm going, what the hell? What? And never mind. It all started in the middle aisle of the hardware store. Okay. So I came home and I just wrote that line down and saved it in that file because that's the hook to get the reader in. What started in the middle of the hardware store? How did it start in the middle aisle of the hardware store?
Uh-huh.
Who did it start with in the middle aisle of the hardware
Who,
store?
what,
And
when,
then,
where, how, and why.
there you go. So you want to hook your reader from the very first sentence. On one of my short stories, I never use it was a dark and stormy night because that's how all horror starts. But I started that particular short story with that sentence, and then I said, "Isn't that how it always starts?"
I love it.
And people go, "What?" So find that hook. Don't say her name was Jane and she lived in a tiny town in East.
Uh-uh.
Who cares? You got to hook the reader from the very beginning. You got to, I call it go fishing. Fishermen out there know what I'm talking about. When you cast that line, yeah, you have bait on the end of it. But when you cast that line, especially in fly fishing, you keep casting that line and reeling it back in and casting that line and reeling it back in until something takes the bait. And that's what you want to do with your reader when you're writing. You want to cast that line, hook them from the first line, and then cast that line again and keep reeling them in and cast it and keep reeling them in so that the entire book is not the same old, same old, same old. You want to have ebbs and flows in your book.
You have to, because if it's all crazy action, it's exhausting.
Very.
You have to have a minute to let the reader relax. And this also ties in with the formatting. If writers don't already know this, it is a very good idea to monitor your own writing and determine, do I use a lot of really long sentences and long paragraphs? Or do I mix it up? Do I have, or chapters? Some chapters might be 1 page
Or
because
one
that's all you
paragraph.
need. Some of them might be 10, 20 pages. But you follow the premise behind what you're trying. Every chapter should be a story
Yes.
within itself. And then you want this, you want your writing to be like breathing. It has to feel natural, and it has to have a balance of, I mean, I'm sure that Yvonne and I could sit here for an hour or more and just rattle on, rattle on, rattle on, rattle on, rattle on, talk, 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 talk. But we, of course, being from the South, know how to take a break. We
Yes.
know how to take a breath. And we are the queens of the dramatic pause, are we
There.
not?
We are. I call it the pregnant pause.
Yes.
In law enforcement, when you're in an interrogation room, and this is if you're writing a crime novel that involves police procedure and you're not sure, contact me.
Oh, yes.
When you are in an interrogation room and you are interviewing a suspect, you sit down at that table across from your suspect, you don't talk first. You make that suspect very uncomfortable because you just sit there. They talk first because then you have control of the situation. Your character has control of that situation. When you talk first, then that suspect knows what you're after and they will create their story around the question that you ask. So, what you do is you just sit there and they will say, "Why am I here?" And you say, "There are a few inquiries." "What kind of inquiries?" "Where were you on such and such a day?" "I was, I don't remember." Where were you between 12 midnight and 4 in the morning? I was asleep. By yourself? At home? Where? Then they start making up all these different stories in their head so that they can tell you another lie. But
My
you
mother
never
used to tell us, if you always speak the truth, you never have to remember.
exactly.
And you know, these people are making up lie after lie, and maybe it's just a small one at first, but if the detective can trip you up on just a small one, then the next thing you know, the bigger one, the true lie comes out.
And it all comes unraveled. All comes unraveled. And if you're going to write crime novels, please, please do your homework. Make them believable. Never would an investigator or a CSI pick up anything barehanded and put it in their pocket unless they were
No.
or unless they were a criminal. You would
And
wear
even if
footies.
they pick it up with gloves, they wouldn't put it in their pocket.
No, goes in an
Because
evidence
that's tampering with the evidence.
and it goes in an evidence bag. It is tagged and dated and signed by the person that puts it in the evidence bag, and then it goes through the chain of evidence until it is put in the evidence room. And everybody that touches that evidence bag has to sign on it and date it and time it because that evidence is used in the courtroom to convict the criminal. If you mess up with that chain of evidence, a defense attorney will eat you alive, and then the criminal gets off, and then your book is totally unbelievable.
And if, depending on the kind of evidence, they might even go so far as to say, on July 1st, Yvonne Mason entered this evidence into whatever, you know, and then on July 2nd, Mary Brotherton went to the evidence room and checked out the whole box.
Yep.
But the only thing she looked at was this one photograph.
And you
Why
have to,
was this photograph so important to her?
and where is it now? What happened to it? Because
Yeah.
if it disappears out of the evidence box, who
What
had
did-
it last?
You know, she's the last one who signed for it, and she'd be like, "Well, I didn't take it." Okay, so whoever did take it didn't sign it out; they just took it. We got another crime on our hands.
Right. And until that person is found, Mary is suspect because she was the last known person to sign out that evidence box.
And that's evidence of its own. That's proof that I
exactly.
touched it last. And a
So,
lot of times, especially if you're watching crime shows on TV, you'll see them talking to people. Well, you were the last person to see her alive. So, does that mean I'm a suspect? Do you think I killed her? No, but you might can give us clues as to what happened. What direction did she walk when you said goodbye? Did she get in a car? Was someone with her? Was someone following her?
but
Oh,
you were.
I thought you were accusing me of killing her because I was the last person to see her alive.
But in the back of an investigator's mind, Mary is a person of interest at that point because she was the last person to see
Yeah.
that other person alive. And until they disprove or prove a theory, everybody is suspect. And that's talked about in Murder in the Village. And so if you were writing a crime novel and you have questions, contact me. I'll walk you through it. Because if you want to make it believable, and I've seen so many shows, oh Lord, and read so many books where I'm going, that would never happen, ever. You don't walk onto a crime scene and destroy the crime scene. Everything in that perimeter is a crime, is part of the crime scene. You don't let people walk through it. You don't let people handle things. You get everybody out but CSI and the investigator. That's it.
And if you think about it, even though it may not, you know, it might look like it's a perfectly clean area to go through. But if you think, oh my God, what if blood was on everything? You wouldn't touch it.
No.
You wouldn't walk through the blood to go see your friend, Detective Schmones, but people show this happening all the time. She came on the scene and walked over to see her friend. Uh, no, you don't walk through blood, and there might as well be blood on a pristine scene, because there could be blood spatter.
And you got to have the luminol for that, and you don't get the luminol until CSI gets there. All right, for those of y'all that don't know what luminol is,
I
luminol
gotta
is
take a call. You keep
okay. Go
talking.
ahead. Luminol is a liquid that is used by the CSI to spray on an area that has been wiped down.
What's up?
And the luminol brings up
I'll tell you why.
blood residue.
We can carry on.
Let's say a body is cut up in a bathtub and the murderer wipes down the bathtub, uses bleach, and thinks they have the entire crime scene clean in that bathroom. There are areas in that bathroom that have microscopic drops of blood. The luminol shows it, and you use the luminol in a black light, and it will light up the blood. Especially in bathtub drains, and the grout around the bathtub, and the grout on the tile, on walls that have been wiped down. Once the blood seeps into that wall, you can't see it with the naked eye, even after it's been wiped down. But there are traces, and the luminol is what brings it up. So when you're writing a crime scene, you have to be very careful how you write that crime scene, because if you don't write it right, it is not believable. People that are in this business will go, that's not how it's done. I see it all the time on crime shows, on the CSI shows, on Law and Order, on the things that are supposed to be crime shows, and they're written way off the mark. You would never pick up a piece of suspected evidence with your bare hands. You would never open drawers, dial telephones, open doors with your bare hands, because there's always trace evidence at that crime scene. Always. Even a piece of paper, you don't pick it up with your bare hand. If you don't have gloves, you find a napkin, or you find a handkerchief, or you find tweezers, or you find something to pick up that piece of paper, because there is always trace evidence of DNA, fingerprints, hair, blood that is left behind by a criminal and the victim. The only thing that you can write about using your total imagination is sci-fi and romance and erotica. Historical fictions, crime fiction, thrillers, suspense, sci-fi, all need to have a foundation of reality put in there in order to make it believable. If you want it to be well written, do your homework, because contrary to popular belief, people are better educated now than they used to be. In the past, you could get away with writing stuff like that, but you have people that are better educated than they used to be. And even when I'm reading for enjoyment, if it doesn't look right, it tends to ruin the whole storyline, because it doesn't flow with the story. If you're going to use a crime basis for your book, do your homework. If you're going to use sci-fi for your book, do like Mary suggested. Do your research of what's out there. Yeah, it's science fiction, but outer space has a method. Outer space has things that happen. If you're going to write thrillers, you will want to research the main characteristic of your main character. Are they psychotic? Are they addicted? Are they narcissist? Are they sociopaths? Are they just plain crazy? Are they just plain evil? Go back and study. Go back and read accounts of other criminals based on the character that you want to build. Immerse yourself in your writing because it makes for a better read. And I know Mary had to leave us. It is now 12:23. We are going to end this podcast for this Wednesday. We will come back next Wednesday with I don't know what. We'll figure it out between now and then. But I want to give a shout out to all the authors and the new releases that we have out there. Mary's Faith and Follies is out there. The three children's books, Sally's Heart, My Angel Book, and Cornfield Flyers of East Tennessee are all now live on Amazon. I am so honored to be able to say we are now a children's imprint. Andrea Dean Van Scoyek's new book, it's two short story compilation called Werewolves in Toxic Rain. Once again, Andrea has just absolutely blown us away. Sherry Ann Richardson, another childhood dream has come true for this author. Under the Dragon's Eye is her newest book. It can be pre-ordered on Kindle right now. It goes live on September the 1st, which is in a couple of weeks. And as I was formatting and reading this book and getting a cover in mind, I was amazed at how well this book was done and how she wove this storyline into two entities you would never have thought would fit. That being a Dragon's Eye and a bowling alley. That's all I'm going to tell you. The cover, the front cover, the way I created that, I took the description of the Dragon's Eye in the book and created the front cover, and the back cover I took the description of the dragon she talks about and a neon bowling alley sign and made the back cover. And that book is phenomenal. And she wrote it as a teenager in school. It is absolutely phenomenal. It held me from the very beginning because I wanted to know what a bowling alley and a Dragon's Eye had to do with each other. The book tells you. So with that in mind, go and look up all of our authors. Sherry Ann Richardson. She has A Chocolate Lover's Garden and now Under the Dragon's Eye. Jason Wolfgang Gerhardt has The Ferryman, which will hold your attention from front to back. Andrea Dean Van Scoyek has just released Werewolves and Toxic Rain and all of her other books, too many to mention. Peggy Engler and Alta Desanoid does inspirational for women. Kim Carmichael, romance, Trophy Doctor, phenomenal book. She wrote this book so well, and I am so honored that she asked me to republish it. Of course, Mary Brotherton with Sally's Heart, My Angel Book, and Faith and Folly, all available. Faith and Folly will be available real soon. It's up for pre-order on Kindle, I do believe. The two children's books is out there. Linda Humphrey's book, Cornfield Flyers of East Tennessee, chef's kiss. Just absolutely over the top. Who else have I got? I think that's everybody. And of course, my books. my books have been out there for a minute, except for Murder in the Village, which is now sitting at number 11 in new releases. If you haven't ordered it yet, please do. Order all of my authors' books. I love my authors. They absolutely, I can't tell you. They are just over the top wonderful. They allow me to do what I do, and they get to do what they do. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we do not charge to do your books, period. I spend a lot of time working on books and looking for new social media to promote and market, new ways to build covers. The only thing my authors see are their royalties. And if you don't want to get your royalty, you want to order books with it, we do that too. So just know that we are here for you. And we're always, always, always looking for new authors. I got one that lives here in Vero. I think that we will be bringing her on. She is a children's writer. I am waiting for her to let me know what day she wants to visit with me and get her on board. I can't wait to see what she has written. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for spending your afternoon with me. And we will see you next Wednesday here on All Things Books and Publishing.